What does the moon craters, the Richat structure, and the Vredefortkoepel have in common? Hi, I'm Martin Dorfling from Cataclysmic Science. By now, you should all be familiar with this figure here showing the three presupposition positions or different worldviews, or also showing the archaeological paradigm tools that I use for analyzing my archaeological data. If you are not familiar with this, have a look at the series of data analysis and presupposition in archaeological research and ancient civilizations. In this video, I will use this figure of the Genesis evaluation of world history and see if I can interpret some data with this. This figure takes the geological mechanism alone and just zooms in there at the hydroplate theory part at the high magnitude event. It basically shows where the Earth burst open and then there might be asteroids shooting out of Earth, or basically just rocks from Earth, which we now call asteroids, and then also coming back, hitting us, and having the crust move in a recovery phase or a follow-on phase from the hydroplate theory. Now, the hydroplate theory, the time sequence of events, as described by Noah, was there were 40 days of rainfall, 110 days that the water rise and hit the mountain peak, 74 days water flows off or away, 40 days Noah sends out a crow, 7 days a dove, 7 days later second dove, which bring back an olive branch, which means that by the third line from the top, 74 days, the olive seeds might have hit ground and start germinating. It really give enough days for the seed to germinate, a small olive branch to spring from that, and the dove picking that. Now another 7 days send out a dove, 29 days they open the ark door but stay inside because it's probably still too cold and muddy and windy. 57 days later exit the ark, and a total of 371 days that they were in the ark. Right, so if everything I said now, if you didn't understand that, go back and watch on Brian Nichols' channel the Hydroplate event. It will explain about the Earth bursting open, and even so, from this energy, as it bursts open, rocks will be flung out into space, which would cause what we call small asteroids flung in all different directions, and we can trace some of these asteroids or comets. There's different orbits. There's a lot of interesting science done about that. Again, go check out Brian Nichols' YouTube channel of the hydroplate theory. The moon was heavily bombarded by asteroids and meteorites at one time. And I specifically said one time because I think most scientists agree that there was a great bombardment era, that all of those happened in a very short time. This is based on statistical analysis of meteorites, and that the moon is so full of craters and Earth is not. If we consider that the moon has a gravity of 1/6 of Earth, then the big question would be, why is the moon so peppered with meteorites and asteroids? Shouldn't Earth attract all the meteorites and the incoming asteroids and meteorites away from the moon, and it would rather struck Earth? And during this hydroplate event, if the Earth burst open and all this rock material flung out, then obviously the Earth goes one way around the sun, and these rock materials, debris, would have gone in all directions, but also some would go in the opposite way, which means after half a year, 6 months or so, we would run into all those materials that got ejected out of Earth. So the Vredefortkoepel in South Africa, also known as the Vredefort Dome or Vredefort Impact Structure, is a large meteorite impact crater which you don't easily actually see unless you from ground level. That you don't really see that. You have to be up in the sky, and then also a lot of data comes from a wider search from underground mining. So on the map here, just show you where the dome is, small, and then the original crater rim around it is massive. It's up to 300 kilometers. So here's an extrapolation of a geological cross-section of the Vredefortkoepel. And as you see, there's on the figure there's a little blue line, which is where the surface is today. But as I said, it's extrapolated to show how it would have looked on top. So if a heavy meteorite would struck Earth, there would be this bounce and rebound effect. And so today we only see the remnants of this huge impact crater. Now again, keep in mind that the basement structure is granite, right? And so the interesting thing here on the map, on the cross section, you see Johannesburg, the city there. That's a city founded on gold mining. On that layer there, they mined a lot of gold, which is far away from the impact crater. But as you can see, it's on the outer rims. And this is interesting because if you again look at the hydroplate theory and the video there of origin of Earth's radioactivity, then you will remember that granite often have quartz in it, and quartz is a dielectric, and this heavy impact on that granitic bedrock might have caused heavy electric bolts, the Z-pinch effect, and causing the precipitation of gold from fusion reactions, which is interesting. Just so this area, like I said, many gold mines, the deepest gold mines in the world are that they mine down to 4 kilometers. There's tens of thousands of boreholes, that exploration boreholes where they drill so that they know where these gold veins run. So they have a pretty good idea of the structural geology of that site. It's been well studied because there's a lot of money that goes into that in this area specifically. Now if you look at the Richat structure, which is only 40 kilometers across, but okay, again, this is only what we see on the surface. We don't know what's underneath it. And it's thought that the Richat structure is an eroded geological dome caused by a subsurface igneous intrusion, which is deforming the overlying sedimentary rock layers and causing the rock to be exposed as concentric rings, with the oldest layers exposed at the center of the structure. Just a quote there from Wikipedia. Now the Richat structure might be a remnant structure of one of these meteorites that actually also struck the Earth and just had a rebound effect, bouncing off and causing the underground to lift up, and there would be magma underneath. Today now we say, oh yeah, it's a volcanic intrusion, but what caused that volcanic intrusion? It might have been from a meteorite striking it, causing an impact crater. The remnants on the surface, a lot of it is washed away. We only see that onion layers around it. Now the thing is, the Richat structure, I don't think is that well researched like the Vredefortkoepel, where there's a lot of money in a whole city founded upon gold mining, built on the outer remnants of that structure. The Richat structure doesn't have any investment like that, so we don't really have a proper geological cross-section of what's happening underneath. I think a proper geological investigation would give us some interesting insight into what's happening at the Richat structure. The problem is it might just not be very economically viable unless there's also gold rifts underneath from that, just like the Vredefortkoepel have. So when I look at the moon's lunar craters under the Richat structure at the Vredefortkoepel, all the impact craters on Earth, what I see is one connected event. The same event described by the hydroplate theory of the Earth bursting open, debris flying out on at massive velocity, massive scale, a lot of it striking the moon, causing those craters. I think there's something like over 9,000 craters documented on the moon. And then many falling back, colliding with the Earth afterwards, directly after that event. And then also 6 months later, another round that we circle on the same orbit around again. But on Earth, just the water washes away the evidence of many of those impact craters, or just buried underneath sediments. So yes, definitely I'd say one event, one massive cataclysmic event of which we actually have a record that Noah documented in the Genesis account.